and checking out as soon as that rolls over. So it isn't quite as equitable in terms of access when you start doing something like that. But yes, it would be possible to do. But we were looking more at if we reduce the borrows, then it's everyone has their fair.
But my thought is that you could limit the number of borrows for an individual patron on a monthly basis or an annual basis.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that would impact the point that you're making about.
Are you talking about a dollar amount
Yes.
that would be for all users?
Yeah.
Okay, he's talking about a dollar amount for each user.
Okay.
You're talking about for library, the library would have a certain amount per month that they would spend, and then after that, there wouldn't be any more hoopla that would be available.
Yeah.
You said power users would be first in line.
Yes.
When that number
Yeah.
came up again, yeah. Now, he's talking about per user. So.
That I don't know if we would be able to do.
We'd have to look at that and see what our options.
That's the same thing as taking it from 7 to 4, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that would.
Well, we're saying that people that check out 7, they're receiving a higher value than those who check out 1 or 2. And so, if we're trying to consider the financial savings, we might be able to put a cap on those individuals who are receiving greater value than the general public, who maybe will check out 7 on one occasion, but not 30 during the course of the year. If we're looking at the amount of value that each patron is able to access, if you had a certain limit on that patron's ability to access over $20 or $30 over the course of the year, then there would be financial savings to our system.
I think that would be hard to communicate to patrons, especially because the price per borrow varies on Ookla. So we wouldn't be able to tell them, oh, you've got 4 borrows this month or whatever, because one of those, it might be an ebook that's $1.99, and then it might be an audiobook that's $3.99, and then they're hitting their limit with a varying number of checkouts.
Will the system let you drill down a little bit more? Like, are children's books less expensive? Can we have more children's books available but fewer adult books or fewer audiobooks?
So typically, yes, children's materials are less expensive, but again, the price is set by the publisher. Now, audiobooks are always going to be more expensive because you have more labor going into producing that. And now what we're seeing is a lot of times they will adjust the cost for audiobooks based on how long they are. So if you get like these epic fantasies that are 800 pages, that audiobook is going to cost more than something that's 200 pages or something like that. But we see more usage with our adult titles than we do with the juvenile, especially because only the unrestricted minor card can access these. The juvenile card, little learners, teens, they don't have access to these resources.
Thank you. Oh, but a really good presentation, by the way.
Thank you.
The only thing I would add is I think this is obviously really important, and it's clearly going to be, there's going to be a lot of discussion relative to the budget. So I would say, I think we have one open question, which is how many unique, we have several open questions. But if we can try to move this forward even independent of the budget, because I would hate for us to get to
got a blank check out there that's being spent $2.99 at a time. As she said, we don't know how many people are gonna come in and check out the books, but we know at the end of the month when we get the bill, and what kind of planning is that?
And just a question, when you're talking about the 26 budget and you're saying that the difference between physical materials and the downloadables, is that cost driven or that's demand driven? Like we don't need as many books in physical form, or is it because of the costs we're shifting because the demand is so high?
Yeah, it's
on the
because
digital
the demand and the cost is so high with the downloadables. So what we've been doing, because we have far more control over what we purchase with physical materials, is we've started purchasing fewer copies of titles. So whereas once we might have gotten 6 copies of this title and put it at 6 different locations, now maybe we'll get 2 or 3, and then we'll wait and see if there's a high number of holds and purchase additional copies then. So that's one of the ways that we've been reducing our spending on physical so that we have what we need to pay for the digital. But that, of course,
Well, I'd like to follow up on Jean's question. Are you seeing a decline in the use of physical copies versus?
no. I mean, physical circulation is still 3/4 of our circulation.
Because what we could run into is you can't buy physical books because the downloadables have eaten the budget up. I mean,
Right,
that's kind of what Joe's saying, and what we're all saying is we
Exactly.
see this going over the cliff, so.
But I don't wanna be in the position of, the buggy whip industry either, where we continue to buy printed books when, everybody's driving around in cars.
I think I like what Joe was saying about, we gotta move the budget forward. I understood you. Bev, you started this by saying you were gonna ask for more money for materials, but have there been any other things considered? I've heard a couple different things, reducing it to 4 borrows from 7.
We're looking at reducing borrowers, perhaps number of borrows per user, as well as asking, it's a balancing act between feeding the demand, because we have a demand. It's not like we're spending this because we don't have anything else to spend it on, but it's a format that is popular. And but like I said before, we have people with a foot in both print and non-print worlds, and as well as people that are exclusive one way or the other. And so we want to look at it from all perspectives, and I wanted to show you, we wanted to share this with you so that you had an understanding of where our increased request for material money was coming from, what it was based on. And so I just want to make sure you guys get the information that you would like to have. I have written down that you would like to see a comparison of the percentage of users to the percentage increase in percentage of our number of patrons to the percentage increase in the downloadable use. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then
To the extent you can actually tie in the increase in usage with those users who just got a library card, then that would be something that I'd be interested, as part of that.
I'm not sure, we don't know why people get a library card.
Not why. You don't have to ask them why. You can see that the people who got a library card, if 95% of those went over and enrolled in Hoopla and were the users that were in that, then we know why they got a library card.
Yeah, well, we'll try to make that analogy. I don't know if we'll be able to or not, but we'll give you both of those numbers. You'll be able to see the increase in the number of borrowers in general versus the increase in the number of users of Hoopla and or Libby, whichever one we can access.
Yeah, if we look at it by month, I don't want to get all happy here, but we can use Excel, it'll tell us.
You want a month?
Between those two numbers. If we look at increase in users by month and increase in downloadable material users by month, you can compare those two and use some math formulas, and it'll tell you mathematically if they're related or not. I don't want to get into explaining all that, but Excel will do all that, so you don't have to do it, and it's not hard to do.
Okay, well, we can get that, we just don't know about the number of users, but be able to compare the number of users between Libby and Hoopla. Hoopla gave us numbers, we don't know if we can, but we'll check with Libby Overdrive to make sure that we can, see if we can get the number of our users with them as well.
Let me make sure I understand something. The power users you're talking about, do we know who those people are?
No,
Do you have a way of knowing who those people are?
I don't believe so. I could check with Hoopla, but I don't think that they don't provide like the patron
We don't have a
identifying
list.
information to
I don't
us.
think we need anything, I think this is where we might have to lean on Google a little bit. We don't need names, because I have a feeling at some point there's gonna be a privacy
Yeah.
firewall that comes up here, which I don't know, I think number one, we can overcome that, because we are paying for them to download, so I would think we have a right to know who's downloading it, but even if that's the case, they're using their library card, so they can, yeah, they don't have to give us the title, they can use their ID number and say, this person is checking out on average, but 5 resources a month, and we know who that person is, we have their ID card, we're allowed to know that, right? I don't think we would be liable for the issue running.
Yeah, the reason I was asking is because if we can't know who those power users are, then we wouldn't know who the new users are of the library card holders to know that they were matched up with that.
Because that seems, I mean, I'm not a privacy attorney, that seems crazy to me that we can pay for the service and not be allowed to know who's using it.
I don't, yeah.
Maybe it's possible, but.
You know, you get that board decision where somebody been put on the library, things that were checked out on his card. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're just talking about usage, you know, irrespective of what they're.
Yeah, we don't need to be blind to what content we're checking.
Definitely.
Listen to or whatever, we just, looking for volume.
Exactly.
And then also the unique users, right? Like we're looking to see how many
Pardon?
unique users, so we can get a percentage of our patrons that are actually using this. Because if it's the same 10,000 people using both services, which we know that's not the case, you know, it's gonna be
It
helpful.
could be, I mean, we have
Be
people that,
helpful.
you know, I don't know. We'll find out what we can from the providers, from the platforms, and see what,
Those numbers are too close, I just don't know about that, for it not to be a heavy.
That would make that information would make a lot of difference to us in percentage limits and all that, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I don't wanna miss that, and then we do something like, oh,
Right.
that.
Yeah, good point, Bill, thank you.
but when we get those numbers, I'll send it to the whole board.
This certainly explains why Hoopla pings me at the end of the month to remind me to pull out more borrows.
Yep,
Thank
thinking
you.
about that.
Yeah.
So Elizabeth, do the same publishers use sell to both
Yes,
platforms?
they do, yeah.
Okay.
The difference with Hoopla is a lot of times there will be a lapse before the title becomes available. So some newly published titles won't be available on Hoopla until like a year later. But we can go ahead and get them on Libby and have them.
So we could find the same titles, it just might be a matter of when.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Any other questions or?
I do have one more,
Comments?
sorry. The question Jean was asking, I'm still not entirely clear on the answer. Do you mind going back just a couple slides? Right there, yeah. Okay, so if I understood Jean's question correctly, the question is, have we had to adjust print materials at all because of the increase in e-materials? And the answer is yes.
Yes.
And that's significant, how much we've decreased the amount we're spending on print materials if we carve out Blue Ridge. So are we buying fewer books per user? Are we circulating, the circulation number is going up, but we're purchasing fewer?
We're purchasing fewer copies to start with. So, you know, if we're looking at a title and maybe in 2021, we would have brought 6 or 8 copies of that title and put it at 6 or 8 different locations. Now, maybe we would only buy 2 or 3 and put them at 2 or 3 different locations. And then if there's a lot of holds on those titles, we would purchase additional copies to fill those holds. But if not, we wouldn't purchase additional copies. So it reduces the number of materials that are available for patrons to just come in and browse and find a title that way.
Just boiling it down, we know that we've had a huge increase in this media format. We also know, forecasting, it's gonna continue to increase, period. And back to your buggy whip and car analogy, that's extremely applicable because I saw us as library people over the past 50 years move and change to different formats such as databases. We were in the same condition when we got into databases. We had to add extra money for databases. So this is nothing really new for us. We just haven't admitted to the fact that we're going to have to spend more money, period. As much as we hate to do that, I hate spending extra money in my house, but that has to come. And we need to forecast for that, or we're gonna cut back services. So the simple fact, it boils down to the fact, do we cut back services, or do we look forward to providing the same quality of library, being number one, back to your statement, Jack? Do we want to be number one, or we want to be number 25 down there? People don't really care to go to, like some of our neighboring counties. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah, well, I got a client of mine has those porta potties, and they say they're number one in the number 2 business. And, I don't want to really be number one in some instances. And so some of the stuff that, we don't have to provide, and especially if it's gonna be cost prohibitive. So, I think, we could do maybe more of the like Lexington County, evidently, everybody in the library business is the same as we are. We got a limited amount of resources. Where do they allocate? And they decided evidently that too much was leaking out of the plug that has the hoopla attached to it. And so they're allocating their resources to other things, trying to push people into other venues that are less expensive, and they can still service their community. But that's the hard part, is finding the happy medium.
I have one
This
more
whole
question.
time crunch of the budget coming up, I mean, that's a lot to consider, all those numbers that you just put up. And we were planning on having a purchasing workshop to give people an idea of the whole overview of purchasing, where a lot of you submitted questions. So this just added to all the information we don't know. So I hope we can have that purchasing workshop before we vote, have to vote on the budget, because that informs us even more about where do we make those choices. I mean, I agree, we don't want to be behind, but at the same time, I think it would be really helpful if we make sure, March already looks like it's scrunched, but if we get that purchasing workshop in, that would be helpful.
We're working on it.
Okay.
So I do have one last question, promise the last one. Is this a contract, is this negotiated annually, or this is like a month-to-month subscription?
So, for which
For the
one?
library, I'm really mostly concerned with Hoopla and Libby.
Okay, yeah, so, Hoopla is just what patrons borrow per month, so we don't have any kind of contract or anything like that. It's just whatever the patrons borrow.
So the library could stop
We could stop.
Hoopla at any moment?
We could,
Okay.
yes.
We could set a spending limit on Hoopla.
We could.
The patron would just get a notice that the spending limit maximum for this month is has been met.
Yes.
Something like that, okay.
Yeah. Or we could reduce the number of borrows and then see what that does to the overall spending. And then with Libby, we do pay an annual licensing fee, that's about $20,000. And then it's just whatever we choose to purchase in terms of new titles, metered access that we're repurchasing, or additional copies to fill holes.
So this is basically like Netflix, there's no option to negotiate a different kind of contract with Hoopla or anything like
No.
that?
You said that was the last one, really.
That was a follow-up to my last time.
Truth matters,
Would you like me to make a motion to adjourn?
I'd like to make a motion that we get a,
I'm sorry, that was a joke.
I'm gonna make a motion that we get a heater in this room, in the meat locker that they call a boardroom. What was you saying?
If there aren't any more questions about the presentation, I just have,
I think there's some more, but
Something else to
it's too
add.
cold to ask for, so go ahead.
I just wanted to share that, the new Blue Ridge branch is doing very well. Over the first 2 months it was open, in December and January, 517 new library card applications were processed. And the circulation of physical items made the branch busier than 3 other locations and nearly as busy as 2 other locations. So the branch is doing very well.
Those are all the Hughes family that were, getting library cards. That's the other Hughes library branch up there.
So, man, it was good when you go up there, you have to park on a dirt road next to the parking lot because there's no space to park in the parking lot.
Oh, that's good.
It's a great problem to have.
Yeah. Ever since they found out they had audible books up there, you didn't have to read them. That's it?
Yes, sir.
So that was your good thing for the library that I encourage Bev, nobody knows what we're doing good unless we toot our own horn on that, and so that was the good thing. Does anybody else have anything positive about the library they would like to follow up with Bev's, Blue Ridge report?
I would like to say, up at Blue Ridge, I attended that grand opening, and I know that community, and I'm proud that it's there, and to hear those numbers of people attending that library. And I hope it continues. Again, I want to see all branches the same way. That one, Travelers Rest, and the one down in Five Forks, with everybody attending. When I pass the road, I want to see the library, cars everywhere, and I plan to go out today and educate people to go to the libraries.
Excellent. Yeah, I hated missing that.
Something about Hoopla.
Yeah, what's all the hoopla about, that's for sure. Okay, I think that's it. Does anybody have a motion to adjourn? So, all right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you very much, folks.